headed to our first adventure. It's a warm, beautiful day.
Here's Dave. He forgot his camera. He was ready to walk.
Welcome to Regla. This is one of the most beautiful neighborhoods that I love to bring photographers to walk around because the colors, the architecture, the textures, everywhere. So what we're gonna do is split up into two groups.
I came to Cuba because I met Fidel Castro in South Africa. I was working there for the inauguration of Mandela, and Fidel Castro showed up and we talked, and he asked me, have you ever been in Cuba? No, I've never been, but after meeting you, I'm going to go there. And I came, and I fell in love with the people, the country, and started my relationship with Cuba.
This is Catholic Church. 75% of the Cuban population practice the Afro-Cuban religion, but only the 10% of the population declare themselves as Catholics. But all of them come here to the Catholic Church to pray. So that's why the reference is a black virgin.
Mami, tú sabes que todo lo que tiene es velcro. El pega de las mochilitas estaba, me está gritando en la jeta.
In every corner returns another interesting
Mami, tú sabes que todo lo que tiene es velcro. El pega de las mochilitas estaba, me está gritando en la jeta. Me está gritando en la cara.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Hola. ¿Qué tal?
There was a moment in the house that I got very emotional. I remember walking in a corner and just seeing the living conditions. They don't have anything. I just said to myself, you are so lucky. You have to feel blessed every single day and just be happy. Back home, people are always complaining about likes, followers, engagement. And here people who don't have anything, they're not complaining about stupid stuff and they're happy and humble. Being here in Cuba, it's allowing us to be more appreciative of what we have.
Shakira is coming with her school uniform. She asked for permission to meet you guys.
We had a girl who was 15. She just finished her quinceañera, and it was amazing just the way that she enjoyed sharing with us these photos. If she didn't have that physical photo album, we probably wouldn't have had a good idea of who she was because of the language barrier. And I feel like what photography and what filmmaking does is it gives us this universal language of emotions.
A decir verdad me siento creativo. Renombro el silencio en el que has vivido y le llamo astucia y te nombro el mío cada vez que escondes tu razón. Y como dice Mayra moviendo el fondillo, cambiemos el tema que me agobias, chico, religión ni fútbol, menos lo político.
So they raise those birds here and they actually sell them. This house is absolutely stunning.
Por eso el relajo con calma. Siento mucha gente en la casa gozando tú y yo.
Panchito is amazing for me because in his house is the companion of all the religion that we practice in Cuba. Catholic, Santeria, Palo Monte, Spiritus. You get into this house, it's a trouble on time.
He makes the best coffee in Cuba, hands down. If there was a Panchito's coffee on Berlin Broadway, it would be popping.
Before, everything was state-owned. After the last Congress of the Communist Party, they decided to allow Cubans to open up their private enterprise. So this is a very modest one.
Fueron tiempos lindos, son recuerdos gratos que mi subconsciente siempre guarde intactos, pero mira.
So now we're going to see a state rationing center. Every month, people get allocated rice, beans, sugar, and they have rationing cards. And basically, they can get by between 15 and 20 days with those rations. And that's subsidized by the government.
Ting tiene, ting vale, ting no tiene, no vale ni timbale. Tin tiene, timbale. Tin no tiene, no vale ni timbale.
Why all the houses look like this?
We cannot afford.
Just can't afford it.
The blockade exists. You cannot import the right material to repair or to refurbish anything. You cannot get into the right market. Another thing that we can do is we cannot even trade with other companies abroad that work with American companies. We are a potential market for you.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that you can trade with us easily? How much money you can make?
Pepe Mangarria no era sociable. En realidad era un tan...
To be a photojournalist in Cuba is incredibly interesting. The social changes are very gradual. People are very open to speak. And for photography, it's ideal.
This is amazing. We're both moving in. Photographer's paradise. Yeah, we're gonna move here.
Patio fue la señal de que los...
The colors and the textures is just out of this world. Every time I was walking around, I just kept on feeling like you're walking through a museum of some sort, or like a time machine. I think the most intriguing part about being in that particular area is that the people themselves are in high spirit, and you don't feel like poverty from them. You see it, but you don't feel it. Brooklyn and Cuba feels like the same place, to be honest. The main reason is because the level of community in Cuba makes it feel like home. There's no sense of racism because everybody feels like we're in the same boat together, which is really dope and it's really important. So that's why we're walking around with this boombox, giving all these Brooklyn tunes for these Cuban people.
My name is Paola Franqui, also known as Monaris. Growing up, I never considered photography as a career path and ended up pursuing a degree in criminal justice. One day, a chance encounter that landed me the opportunity to showcase my work from someone who saw potential in me sparked my desire to become deeply involved in what I now consider to be the love of my life, which is photography. My goal has always been to combine my creative aesthetic style of street photography with a visual storytelling approach. I think that photography is a form of self-expression. We go out and we search for the type of content that means something to us. With time and practice, you learn to foresee with a slight anticipation what it's likely going to happen before it happens. This gives you a precious instant to get the shot that you had created in your mind. So for me, that's what street photography is all about.
On the next episode of Through the Lens Cuba.
Not only they were dancing, but they were actually acting and telling a story with their dance, and it was a surreal experience.
When I got to see them performing arts, it really made me connect back to those moments in my life where I felt that way about filmmaking.
We visited the Statue of Christ. It was the absolute perfect view of Havana, and it was really cool to just chill up there and capture a lot of cool moments.